Over the last 14 days, the enterprise executed a radical warp in its evolution. We have officially terminated the T1 hobbyist era, moving away from ad hoc scripts and manual oversight. The core diagnosis was clear. Operating inside the system as a manual administrator generated compounding technical toil. The resulting cognitive drag prevented any real strategic velocity. To solve this, we implemented a proactive C4 ISR doctrine. The goal is to elevate operational command to a CEO vantage point by building an autonomous system that governs itself. This is the force index, the mathematical baseline dictating our architecture. It defines efficiency, E, by weighing resource allocation against cognitive load and manual toil. In legacy environments, toil expands this denominator, diluting the operator's capacity and turning maintenance into a loss of strategic potential. We are now building an autonomous AI board of directors designed specifically to manage these variables and maintain a stable force index. This evolution ensures the architecture is governed by the math of efficiency, where automation finally prevents manual maintenance from consuming the bandwidth required for execution. To meet these requirements, we abandoned fragmented legacy platforms in favor of a strictly structured operational mesh. Tier 1, AxiomSentinel, is the strategic brain and policy source of truth. Tier 2, PraxisParity, operationalizes threat intelligence through attack simulation. Tier 3, Sentinel 366, acts as the data diode. Finally, Tier 4, Citadel Sentinel, provides the military-grade intelligence edge and zero-trust data silos. These nodes interlock to create a zero-trust, continuous content factory, capable of processing high-velocity telemetry without manual polling. The successful physicalization of this 5-tier mesh creates a definitive boundary against the cognitive drag of legacy Web 2 workflows. The transition focused on moving away from manual break-fix operations toward declarative, ISO 27001 compliant environments. We established the T1.2 enterprise architecture schema as our unalterable single source of truth. Every asset in the enterprise must now align with one of these 4 directories. /gov directory hosts the compliance baseline, enforcing the ISMS policy framework and all audit evidence. /prod handles the serverless declarative orchestration where our production workflows are executed. /data provides the ingestion point for raw data staging and perimeter lockdown. And /brain stores the tactical SOPs and deductive logic used to map our knowledge graphs. Any unaligned home lab framing that fails to meet this directory standard is instantly purged. Forcing all enterprise data through this exact matrix is the only authorized path to guarantee stability and high-velocity execution. With the T1.2 schema firmly established, we deployed the autonomous AI Directorate to actively manage the wisdom internalization-externalization loop. The intelligence director persona synthesizes raw incoming signals, applying the initial truth test before any data enters the pipeline. The Quartermaster persona then enforces strict internal resource escrows, ensuring we have the capacity to act before we allocate engineering hours. These checks are physically enforced by N8N orchestration nodes. The Sovereign Shield persona monitors the development lifecycle, acting as an immune system that checks every push for compliance. The Tactical Commander governs the final kinetic strike, discharging energy only after the automation confirms the mission is mathematically authorized. Delegating these gates to AI personas has reduced our threat intelligence processing times from weeks to minutes. To filter this high-speed data, we utilize the signal refutation engine, the core filter of the architecture. This engine relies on deductive refutation. Instead of verifying every data point, the system uses Popperian falsification to find the single logical contradiction that collapses a threat narrative. This mismatch logic traps syntax faults and unmapped artifacts before they hit production. This filtered, clean data allows us to anchor the entire organization to a protocol-first architecture. We have successfully established our cryptographic identity via the ENS root, AxiomSentinel.eth. By firmly anchoring our cryptographic identity to the blockchain, we have completely severed the enterprise's reliance on fragile, centralized third-party silos. While the technical transition was successful, this warp evolution extracted a significant metabolic cost. We faced persistent strategic friction from legacy biological maintenance and mandatory GRC tasks, specifically the burden of manual FMLA and Sedgwick paperwork. This is the mesh tax, the inherent cognitive overhead required to maintain a 4-tiered autonomous ecosystem. In several instances, this tax threatened to breach our force index baseline, stalling our strategic output. Therefore, the formal T2 launch carries a single priority: absolute protection of the operator's metabolic capacity. An autonomic enterprise is only as effective as the architect's remaining bandwidth. If the maintenance consumes the man, the system has failed. Our primary metric for success remains the mathematical eradication of infrastructure debt. We deployed Looker Studio dashboards connected directly to our intelligence ledger to prove this debt is being driven to zero. Eliminating unaligned assets is what finally allows the organization to shift from architectural replanning into a permanent state of execution. This execution state enables our final pivot, the operationalization of the Marketing 5.0 pipeline. We are now syndicating our sanitized internal intelligence outward, transforming engineering exhaust into high-value intellectual property. The AI Directorate is now the primary generator of sovereign capital, officially completing the transition to a T2 agentic enterprise.